Making sure that your test code is readable is fundamental because you noticed already, you as a developer, you spend lots of time reading test code. So the more readable and the more understandable, the better. And the first tip is about the structure. You know that all test code has three parts: the arrange, the act, and the assert. And it is way easier for a developer to read a test when he or she can quickly identify these three blocks. So the person knows where the arrange is, where the act is, and where the assertions are. And you can do this by, for example, simply giving white lines between the blocks, as I do in the example. Make sure that any developer can grasp the three parts in any tests that you write. Another very important readability tip is about information. Tests are full of information because they need to contain data inputs that we will pass to the class under test. And this information will most likely be complex because you're going to be dealing with complex objects, and these objects have relationships and etc. So you as a developer writing tests, you need to make sure that anyone can understand the information that is in there. Just to give you a concrete example, let's suppose we have this invoice, and this invoice receives parameters. From this code example that you see, it is very hard to know what 1 means, or what 10 means, or what 25 means. To understand them, the developer would have to go to the invoice class and then understand the class and then go back to the test. Whereas what you can do is to introduce explanation in the code. So, for example, instead of having the numbers in the constructor, we can introduce variables. For example, the text variable, or the amount variable, and the ID variable. And see that I call the ID variable any ID. And this is a trick that I usually do when I have an information in my test that is not very important to that test in particular. This is going to happen. In many cases, we will have to have data in our test that are not important for the main feature we want to test. It is just that it's compulsory. So we often pass any valid data, and we kind of don't care about its specific value. So make sure that a developer can easily identify data that is really important and the data that is not that important for your test. This is just a small tip, but I want you to have in mind that information is a very important part of any test code. And you need to make sure that they are very, very, very readable. The assertions part of the test code is also fundamental because if a test fails, the first thing a developer will see is the failing assertion. So if the assertion is too complex, or if there are many assertions, or if you find any reason for a developer to not understand your assertion in a millisecond, then this means you need to come up with a better way to express it.